I'm so glad you could make it. Sit down, sit down. Oh, yeah. Oh, the band is gonna be awesome tonight. I dig it.
Hey, welcome back to Therapy Sessions. That's THAIRAPY Sessions. I'm your host, Auntie Hair Coach, and I interview regular people telling real stories about their beauty industry journey. I know that what we do is fun and perceived as glamorous, so it's through sheer audacity that professional stylists and barbers are creating industry disruption in their own unique ways. I've spoken with business owners, industry influencers, educators, innovators, and so much more. We share beauty industry tips, tricks, pitfalls, cheat codes, and everything in between just to remind you that you're not alone. With therapy sessions, it is my sincerest intention that by sharing our unique journeys with the world, beauty professionals will be empowered to discover your own uniqueness, which is where your true superpowers lie. So relax, get vulnerable, get inspired, hit that follow button, and be empowered to discover and share your own unique power to contribute to this amazing beauty industry that continues to challenge us all to keep learning, keep growing, and keep reaching for the highest version of ourselves. I'm Auntie Hair Coach, and this is Season 3 of Therapy Sessions.
I'm so glad you could make it.
HAIRAPY Sessions. I'm your host, Auntie Hair Coach, and I interview regular people telling real stories about their beauty industry journey. Today's guest is a hairstylist, salon owner, educator, and transformative speaker. His name is Danielle Mason Jones. Welcome to Therapy Sessions.
Hey, friend. Thank you for having me today.
Good morning, bestie. Okay, so I was introduced to you through a branding for social media class recently. But for people who may be just now meeting you for the first time, give us like a little bit of your origin story. Where'd you grow up? How'd you grow up? Where are you located now? Tell us about yourself.
Perfect. So I grew up in South Carolina, so not too far away. And there's a crazy story there. We don't have enough time for that one today, but so I grew up in South Carolina, always with the dream of just loving people. I love to love people. That's kind of my specialty. And so my first career that I thought I was going to go into was funeral science. And so I started working in a funeral home at 14, volunteering. 16, they hired me. Did a lot of that through high school, and then I ended up moving to Atlanta when I was 19 years old to go to college. And I did that and was pretty good in that world, but more so known for doing restorative art. And someone recommended that I become a hairstylist. I thought they were absolutely insane to say that. But here I am. So I stayed in Atlanta, and this coming May will be 25 years that I've been a hairstylist.
That's amazing. Congratulations.
Thanks.
It's not easy as being a hairstylist for this long, right?
No, your body definitely keeps score.
Yeah, for sure. So I normally ask people at this point if you always wanted to be a hairstylist, but you actually, and in my research, I found that no, you actually wanted to be, what did you call it? Funeral science? Is that what you called it?
Yeah. So what I studied in college was funeral science, but I
Yes.
was a funeral director and embalmer.
What the heck? Where did that
And
come
it's so
from?
funny that you're a colorist in color theory. So
Uh-huh.
coloring the human body is no different when you're preparing than the hair. So, we have different tones and colors to neutralize or cancel other tones, and it's exactly the same.
Yeah. I've only worked on a person who was not alive one time. It was a client, a longtime client. She made me promise that they would not let her go to her funeral looking crazy. And it wasn't as creepy as I thought it would be. It was
No,
actually very normal. And she was a huge Willie Nelson fan. So I turned on some Willie Nelson and we just made it work.
you did your thing.
I did my thing. Okay, so I know that in my research of you, that the way that you grew up, I mean, it's South Carolina, right? South
Yes.
Carolina. And so it's, I just recently moved to Georgia from the Midwest and didn't think about the fact that I'm literally moving into the Bible Belt.
The buckle.
The, literally, okay? Um, and so in my research of you, I found out that you were raised in a very strict religion. I
Yes.
thought that it was Jehovah's Witness as I was researching, but I found later that it was not. And you've mentioned in other interviews that you don't care to say the religion, so I'm not going to say it now. But what
Just
you
out of respect for the people. Yeah.
sure, sure. Um, but you mentioned that at one point you spoke with your pastor about wanting to leave to go to college, and you were told no.
Yes.
So I have three questions actually about that. So
Go
the
for it.
first is, where did you get the audacity to go against the pastor and announce that you were going to do it anyway? The second question is, then when you made that decision, you were excommunicated and your church community literally turned their back on you, like literally turned their back on you. So what are you thinking in that moment about what your life is going to look like going forward? And then finally, what are your takeaways from that moment in your life in hindsight?
Wow, you did do your research. You dug deep. So, yeah, I knew that I wanted to go to college. We were part of this organization, and in organizations, sometimes they can actually be cults, and you don't realize that when you're in it because you're so deeply taught into that belief system. And so I remember when I came to Atlanta and checked out the funeral college to go to, and I knew I had been mailing them back and forth. There was no such thing as the internet back then. And I was mailing them back and forth. They would give me their information. I would get so excited. I would save all of their little pamphlets. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be a professional one day. And so finally, I just drove to Atlanta. And at the time, I took my girlfriend. That's that part.
Don't know
So
until
anyway,
you know.
you know what? I tried. That's what I can say. So we drove down to Atlanta, and I always tell the story. The school was actually closed that day, and as the world would have it, I pulled up, and there was one car in the parking lot, and the car that was there ended up being my embalming instructor. And he gave me a tour of the college, and I was like, "Where do the students live?" And he told me that they don't live there. I'd always heard that kids lived in dorms, and so he assured me that was not the case and that I could live in an apartment. And I was like, I don't have enough money to live in an apartment. I had been working 1 year after high school to save enough money to go to college. And so he goes, you know what? There's a funeral home that just has a position open up. So I literally got into my car, drove there, and they hired me on the spot. I'm sure now looking back, when I walked into the funeral home, the funeral director's probably like, so I'm with this young lady, and she has a bun, like a traditional bun, on her hair or on her head, and a long dress. And it's summertime. We're dressed in long sleeves, and we're very modest. And so I'm sure they were thinking like, this is probably going to be someone that works really hard and definitely not a partier. So,
Hmm.
so they hired me on the spot, and I came back home. That was a Friday. I came home and I told my mom that I had gotten an opportunity to go to college and that I could live for free in a funeral home, which would help me immensely. She was excited, but in protocol in this organization, you had to get permission for anything that the family did from the pastor. And so, as as every night would have it, we were in church that night also. So I went to the pastor and I told him that I had driven to Atlanta and I had checked the college, and he assured me that God would not save me there.
Mm.
And I was like, oh, wow. So he's only in South
Not gonna
Carolina.
like Atlanta.
I mean, who knew? And so many restrictions there. And so anyway, I was like, okay, yes, sir. And so I kind of walked away. But Saturday, I thought about it, and the funeral home called me. And they're like, have you made a decision? I'm like, I'm working through some logistics right now. So I'll be in touch with you. Sunday morning, I went to service, and I always sat in the front. In our congregations, the men sit in the front and the women sit in the back, or they sit side to side, but you don't commingle.
Oh.
And yeah, it's lots of rules. And so, with that being said, um, I sat there and I was just thinking, like, I really want a better life for myself. And so Sunday night, I went to the pastor's office before church and I knocked on his door and I went inside and told him that I wanted to go to college and that I had made the decision to go, in which he said nothing. I knew I was in trouble. And boy, was I in trouble. So
Mm.
service proceeded as normal. And at the end of the service, I was stood up and excommunicated from everyone that I knew and loved and thought that loved me, all for going to college. And it was, now looking back, it was such a fragile ego of the man in charge um, that he couldn't even allow me to go to college. But looking back, I was their number one recruiter and also their number one moneymaker for the congregation. So I was naive at the time and couldn't see that. Now I see very clearly. And so I went to Atlanta, Georgia the next morning. There really wasn't an option for me. I lived in the funeral home, and it was probably the hardest thing I'd ever gone through in my life because I didn't have anybody or anything, and I was struggling. And inside of all of this turmoil in my mind, I also knew there was something else about me that I was keeping secret. And I had already tried to end my life at one point in time 2 years prior because of that. And so I was really a tormented soul looking back, even though I always wore the mask of happiness, and I still do. I'm a happy guy. But in that time, I really wasn't so happy. And so I got into the funeral home and I started to make friends and connections, which was really a beautiful thing. And come to find out, the funeral home that I was working in here in Atlanta, there were three guys just like me there. And one of them was a pastor. And so he helped me reconcile who I truly was and put together, what I had been taught. And he was like, you know what, some of this is man-made 100%. Like the way that you're dressing, the way that you can't sit on this side of the church, or he was like, this is all man-made. And I was like, are you sure? So anyway, I got into the funeral home. I lived there, and it's funny that I think about potentially the funeral home saved my life
Yeah.
and being around these people. And so what I say to anybody in the world that's going through anything in your life, if it's hard for you, number one, nobody can judge your hard. Nobody can tell you, oh, that wasn't that serious, because for you, that is that serious, wherever you are in your own personal journey. And I will always say this is when you're going through these moments, everything is happening for you, even though it's so hard to see it. It's so hard when you're in the thick of it. But I look back and I was like, I was literally supposed to have worked in exactly that funeral home with those three guys because they helped me undercover who I was. And it was such a beautiful thing. And once I was able to discover me and sort of start to like me for the first time ever, because at this point, I had lived my entire life being embarrassed to even exist.
Yeah.
That's not a fun feeling.
Yeah. Like the shame, I can imagine.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Are you still friends with those guys? Are you in touch with them today?
Sadly, two of them have passed away. One was really young. He had a heart attack,
Oh,
which was
wow.
so crazy. I had a hard time wrapping my head around that. He's been gone 2 years.
Wow.
But the one remaining, yes, we're definitely still friends. He's amazing. He's still a funeral director. Yeah, we're friends. But, it's just crazy how life cycles and takes you through.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. Okay,
Sure.
so you definitely spoke about the difficult time that you had in having the suicidal ideation. And I know you've got a mental health initiative with L'Oreal, so I hadn't planned on talking about that right now, but
You are
since you brought that
amazing.
up, let's talk about that.
Well, so I 2 years ago was reached out to by L'Oreal Professional, and they were the first company in the beauty space that were like, "Hey, we need to reach out to every beauty professional in this industry and talk about mental health. We need to talk about anxiety, depression. We don't touch on the things that are completely so far out of our space,
Sure.
but we talk about the two most common. And I battle anxiety really, really heavily. And I hate that. It's just a part of me. And one might understand after understanding where I came from why I have so much anxiety. When you're literally thrown away from everybody and everything, and you can't trust yourself and you can't trust the people that you're supposed to trust, it makes you kind of uneasy in life. And So for me, anxiety, people would see me struggle. I do have a form of OCD, so germs truly do freak me out. I can't stand them. It has nothing to do with COVID for all of those people that are like, nothing to do with that.
COVID doesn't help, I'm sure.
It was no different than anything else for me, but I was happy for a brief while that people became clean for like 2 years, and now they've gone back to all the things. I'm like, oh, please wash your hands,
Yeah.
cover your mouth.
Yeah.
But anyway, and I have a very severe flight phobia, which is funny because I fly every weekend except for this one. This is my first one this year that I've
Yeah.
not been on an airplane. So when you put germs in airplanes together, it's not a fun place for me. But I do it every single Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, flying from city to city or country to country, speaking. So I do put myself in that light, and I don't take medication for it. I've tried; it doesn't work. So I just do it, and L'Oreal and a lot of the other companies in the world were watching me, and they're like, "This guy is literally putting himself in the face of his fear every single weekend." And they saw, and also when I was in college, I studied psychology, so I'd already had a little bit of this and put it with that, and so I went to Paris and worked with NAMI, which is an incredible organization for mental health, and a couple of psychiatrists, psychologists, counselors on a global initiative. And we put our minds together and we talked about all of the mental health anxiety disorders that are happening today. And sadly, as you probably would imagine, which country is the sickest? It's ours.
Shocking.
Yes, and India and China come in just behind us, but we have created such a toxic place. Everybody hates everybody for anything. It's like, oh, you like cucumbers? Then we can't be friends. Um, you like fast cars? We're not going to get along. So,
Seriously,
and I'm not making light of the real situations that are out there. There's people that hate you because of who you are, and there's people that hate me because of who I am, and we're good people.
yeah.
So I would say, with that being said, be nice and just love people. So we started this initiative, and it's taken off pretty largely, and it's a global campaign. It's been really amazing, and we're starting to get a lot of feedback from this class. It's a free class that you can take. It's on every platform,
Okay.
and we're just trying to get people to remove the stigma around mental health. A lot of people would actually seek help if they didn't feel like it was so stigmatized. It's like, well, I can't, somebody will think that I am whatever if I go see a doctor or a therapist. And the reality is, we see you as strong if you go make that move, because if you can make your life better, there's nothing more beautiful. And I'll say this to you: if you were to be out for a walk or a jog and you twist your ankle, would you go to the doctor?
Absolutely.
You're not going to think twice about it.
Yeah.
And now you wake up and you have these thoughts of potentially ending your life or someone else's life, and we just kind of brush that off. And there's still people that say, well, mental health is all a made up thing. It is absolutely not a made up thing. And the majority of people walking around us are suffering in silence. So it's been really, really empowering to be a part of this project. And again, I'm taking bits and pieces, as everyone that's listening to this, take the bits and pieces of your life that seem to be so confusing and start to put those pieces together, and you'll understand the puzzle of your life. And so this is mine. It's to help as many people as I can while I'm here.
And then as far as your family, because when you were excommunicated, your family also did. Were you able to repair that relationship?
I have a relationship with my mom and my brother,
Okay.
and that's really it. My dad passed away 15 years ago. We were cool before he passed, and I was so lucky I got to take care of him in his last days. Um, but no, the rest of the family, and here's what I know. Family is the people that love you and support you and uphold you. There are people that are blood related to you, and that's a completely different situation. Just because we have the same blood or the same DNA does not mean that we're family. Family is somebody
Yeah,
that's going to uplift you in your hardest times. And
absolutely.
so when people can toss you out like a bag of garbage, that's not your family.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And what's your relationship with religion now?
Ooh wee. Oh man, that's tough because I've been doing a little bit of searching lately. I went to a conference the other week that was very scandalous all over the United States. All you have to do is Google the word unconditional conference or the words unconditional conference. That
Mhm.
was the conference that I went to. That
Okay.
conference essentially happened because of a conversation that happened in my chair about 9 years ago. And it's a conference that was held here in Atlanta at one of the largest churches around. It's called North Point Community Church. And the pastor took a bold move to open his church, as all churches should have done in the beginning, to love all people. What an idea to love
I
people.
know. Shocking.
Isn't that bizarre when that's the greatest commandment of all was to love one another? But
Mhm.
anyway, so I went to this conference, and I'm going to tell you, it was really hard. It was the first time I had stepped foot into a church in a very long time. And I felt physically ill when I pulled up in the parking lot, and I was like, I don't think I should go inside because of the hate that I felt in the past. And I did it because this time I told myself, I was like, you're a grown up this time. Like, you can walk out of there. You don't have to stay. You don't know these people. And so I went in, and there was a lot of conversations happening. The conference was not for people like me. It was for parents of people like me and youth leaders of people like me. And so there were things that were said that were really painful to listen to. It pulled up a lot of scar tissue.
Mhm.
And but there was a lot that was really nice to hear, and that not everybody is hateful that goes inside those buildings. So that was really refreshing. But my current relationship, I definitely believe there's something bigger than I am. This is me personally, and I'm sure people are going to get angry when they hear me say this, but they will be fine.
They'll be fine.
Because I speak out of love with everything that I do. So I think it would be really naive and really small minded for any of us to believe that any one way is the only way. I think it's really naive and small minded to think that any group is right or that any group is really wrong, unless they're serving in a place of hate. And so many of these people, they think that they're loving, but it's everything they do is hateful. So for me, I have so many friends that are every walk of life. I have people in my world that are Buddhist, that are Muslim, that are Christian, that are Jewish, that are agnostic, and they're also fantastic. And I learned so many spiritual insights from all of them. And here's what I know. At 45 years old, I've never had more peace in my life. And it's because I'm open to learning that there are so many different people in the world other than me. And honestly, I feel like I'm in the phase of my life now that's what I crave the most, is to be around people that are the exact opposite. We're decorating right now for Diwali, and I'm so excited. It's an Indian holiday that starts on November 12th. It's so beautiful. It's 5 days where they put lights everywhere. And what it essentially means is to drive out the darkness in the world. Is there anything more beautiful than that? I think not.
I love it. I love it.
So we kind of celebrate everything. And I just love, again, I love people. And I always say yes, there's race, yes, there's genders, yes, there's all these things that we love to divide people in. But at the end of the day, there are good people and there are bad people. And that's it. We all come in all different shapes, size, colors, walks of life, cultures, it doesn't matter. There are good people and there are bad people. I love to be around the good people, but I also like to be around a lot of the bad people too, because I might be the crazy one that's naive enough to believe that you can make somebody good. If you just let them know that they matter and that they're loved and their life has any kind of value on it, you can change people. I do believe that.
Interesting. Huh. Okay. All right. Man. Okay, so let's shift gears a little bit. I know
Yes.
that you own a gigantic salon. You co-own that? Is that you and Jody together, or is that
Yes.
okay?
Yes.
It's like over 6,000 square feet. Is that right?
Yes.
So
It's a big one,
just teeny little side story. I shared with you that I recently moved to Georgia from the Midwest, and
which I
I
love.
had made the decision to move Thanksgiving of 2019. Well, then, of course, 2020 hit, and now I'm trying to
Mm.
figure out how to move in the middle of a pandemic. So I flew down here in like June or July of 2020, Your salon, I now know, was one of the places that was on the list. I
No
ultimately,
way.
no, it was on the list. I ultimately decided against it because I live south of the city. I moved
It's a
here because
long
of my
drive.
family. Yeah, it's a long, I'm like, oh, that's too far. And especially in Atlanta. Like, it would be different if I was, commuting in Idaho, but
Like
this
2 hours.
holy moly. Yeah.
Yes.
Um, okay, so how many stylists do you have there?
I don't know. I really don't know.
Okay.
My husband just went to work a minute ago. He was interviewing. We're very fortunate in that we have a serious wait list to work in the company, and so he's doing 2 more interviews today. But he's I forgot one time because I stay out of his lane. That's his baby.
Mhm.
But we would get somewhere around 100 applications a month to work inside of our salon, and which is insane.
Bananas.
And it's crazy, right? So as far as hairstylists, we probably have close to 60 something hairstylists, and then we have support staff, we have our guest experience coordinators, we have spa, we have all those people in addition. So we're about a month and a half away, crossing my fingers, of opening our new location. So we're going to be opening number 2, and I've kept that off social media because I haven't even had time to talk about it.
Yay.
We're opening our second location, so that one will put us over 100. And I have to tell you, these are the nicest people you could ever meet. They're honestly in my soul. I can't tell you one bad thing about any of them.
Yeah.
They're such good people, and I get to work alongside them.
Yeah. There's so many salons out here that have trouble getting one application a month. How in
Yeah,
the hell are you getting?
it's
You have
so
to
funny.
share
I don't.
this.
It's you know what? At the end of the day, let me. I'm gonna reverse this on you. We're gonna put a little Missy Elliott on
Uh-huh.
it. All right, we're gonna put the thing down, flip it, and reverse it.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you, why did you want to interview me?
You were interesting, and I thought you had a story to tell.
And so that's why people want to work in our company. Our
Yes.
salon is interesting, and it has a story to tell.
Yeah.
So our salon isn't like other salons, and
Yeah.
there are a lot of copycats out there, and that which is kind of good. Our salon is so unique; it's a very diverse salon, and um, the people that work in that salon, like it's so powerful. Like you get to hear where they're from, you get to hear their stories. Of course, we celebrate their holidays, and it's just fun, to get to work around so many different types of people. And there is a magic behind whatever's happening, and I can't even tell you what it is. We had someone come in and secret shop us from a large magazine, and she had her hair done, and she said that she had gone to 3 salons in the Atlanta area. And when she came into our salon, we did her hair. She didn't. Her hair was natural. She wanted us to do a silk press on her, and we did it. And she was like, "This is. I didn't expect this." The other salons that I went to, they told me that I should just wear my natural hair. They set me under the dryer. They were kind of discussing me with other people. And she was like, "I came into your salon and you did my hair." I was like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, of course." And I didn't know who she was. I had no clue. But every person that comes in our door is very important. So I taught her how to do her hair straight, but I also taught her how to use the flat iron to get these really beautiful and fun waves. And she was like, "Oh my God, thank you for taking the time to share that with me." And then when she left, she goes, "By the way, you've been secret shopped." And I'm like, "What?" And she told me who she was with, and I'm like, "You just blew my actual mind." It was Allure magazine. And so she said, when she wrote the article, she said something that is so fascinating about this salon is I felt as if this building had a living heartbeat.
That's amazing.
So the fact, and people say this all the time when they come in, they're like, "It just feels like love in here."
Yeah.
So, I think there needs to be more places in the world that let people know that they're loved. It's real
Yes.
simple.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. And I know you've shared before that you don't manage people. So
No,
how do
absolutely.
you manage to make it feel like so much love? And how do you get people to do what they're supposed to do if you're not managing
The more rules you put on people, the more they want to break them.
And you know that, right?
I'm an artist,
Yeah.
right? Like, so just let people be. I
Yeah.
mean, we obviously do have rules in place.
Mhm.
Be on time,
Mhm.
look and dress like a professional because we are a high ticket salon.
Mhm.
Um, and be nice. Really,
Yeah.
there's not more to it. Like you're an adult. Like if you dirty a sink or a color bowl,
Clean up after
that
yourself.
should be common sense. I don't want
Yeah.
to talk about that. Like that's boring and it breeds negativity in a salon. So I just don't want to do that. And it's fun because honestly, some of the best conversations come while we're all washing our color bowls together. We're all back there laughing and singing and so it's just a fun place. And yeah, so freedom. People want to have freedom. They're artists. Just let them create. When we're doing our training program, we have a very extensive education and training program in our company. We
Mhm.
do teach like 2 signature blow dries, meaning that if someone's in the training program and we need them to work with somebody else for the day, that they all have like 1 or 2 consistent blow dries. But you do the kind of hair that you do. So if somebody's doing locks or somebody's doing braids or somebody's doing um, whatever, like any kind of hair that grows, if somebody's
Mhm.
in there doing it, we love to celebrate each other. We get next to them if we can, if it's not a disrespect thing, and we try to learn from them. Like, so we're all teaching each other, we're all growing each other. Everybody inside of our company is empowered the day they come to work in the company. So if you're 18 years old and you have a really beautiful idea that would help make our company better, we hear you. And we're going to implement whatever it is that you say if it makes sense for the company. And so we're open to big discussions. My husband and I, we are the visionaries. We are the crazy people that pay the mortgage and all the heavy fees for everybody.
Yeah.
But that's all we are. And without the people in the company, we are not a company. So we need to hear their voices. We need to hear what feels important to them. And we're going to make it happen.
Yeah. And I saw that you guys offer like health benefits and 401k, which is something
Absolutely.
that you don't see very often in this industry as well. So I'm sure
No.
that's not hurting anybody when they come looking for work.
No, we definitely helps. So in January, this 2023, I know we're about to roll into 2024. In January, our financial advisor came into the company as he does every January. He kicks off our first meeting of the year, and we go over investments because we believe in creating financial freedom for all the people that work in the company. And I don't want to see people struggle. I can't stand to see people struggle, especially in this industry. It makes zero sense to me. And so he comes in and he talks to everybody. And this past year, we had $2.3 million contributed to our team's retirements. And that feels really good. It's not possible if we don't sell retail. Retail is a huge part of our culture. And as far as health insurance, we have a female dominated industry. You know, the idea of having women working in my company that are scared to go get a breast exam because they don't have insurance is absurd to me. And we've lost 2 of our former employees to breast cancer, and that was gut wrenching for us with both of them. And we have one currently fighting that very thing right now. And so now we have all that we need to give them so they can get the help that they need without having to worry. Like the only battle they need to fight is getting healthy. They shouldn't have to fight a battle of finance on top of that. So we're very passionate about that inside of our company.
Yes, love it. Okay, so a bit ago, I was telling you about moving to Georgia, like at the height of COVID. You've got this huge, successful salon with all of these people that you're employing, and
Yes.
then we hear that the world is going to shut down. Where
Yeah.
where were
Oh,
you when you heard that, and like, what are you thinking?
it was March 17th, 2020. I will never forget it. We made the decision to close our company at 11:30 in the morning, and there were tears. Our team were scared. We were scared. We didn't know. And when we signed on to open our company, we never wanted to be like any other salon. Never. It never even appealed to us. And we realized that we took on the responsibility of all of those people that work in the company. So we were like, how is this going to work? We didn't know that unemployment would be a thing. Of course, we thought it was just going to be 2 weeks, right? We're going to close down for
Yeah,
2 weeks to quote unquote flatten the curve. And um, it ended up being 9 weeks. Thank God it was only 9 weeks for us. A lot of the country were out for a long time. And so we were like, what do we do? And so then we were able to file unemployment. Some of our team members, this is going to be an ouch moment, but it's real. Some of our team members had very different last names. And ironically, they were the ones that didn't qualify for unemployment.
And
That
we
was
are in,
fascinating.
yeah.
Yes. So, so disgusting. So, with that being said, again, we had assumed responsibility. And so we had a team member that she had just had a brand new baby and her husband lost his job. They had just bought their first home. They had a house payment. They they had a toddler and a baby. So we immediately were like, okay, we were literally driving around to their homes, to people's homes, delivering checks to them from our salon so that they could pay their house payments. We paid apartment rents. We paid car payments. We bought food. We did everything that we could during those times because those were our people. These are the people that we signed up to take care of. And that's exactly what we did. And so when people make fun of commission salons, be careful who you're making fun of because not all of us are bad. Anyway, it was one of those things that we were fighting to take care of our team. And it was so scary. But we made sure that we kept in contact with them. We would do virtual parties. We would do like groups. You could only do 23 people at a time on FaceTime. So we would do Zoom calls, and we were staying in contact with them every day. How are you feeling? How's your mental health? How's your family? We had people, their family members had passed away from COVID. It was just a scary time, and none of us, in leadership, none of us really knew what was going on. But what we did know is that it was our job to love people and try to make their lives a little better. So it's just like being a parent. Your kid fell down. You're like, oh, you're gonna be fine. Let me kiss your boo boo. You don't know if the kid has a broken arm or not, but you're trying to give comfort in that time. And that's what we were doing. We didn't know, we didn't have any answers. It was the first time we'd gone through a pandemic.
Yeah.
And, but what we did know is that those were our people and we would stand by their sides.
Yes. So I'm sitting here listening to you and watching you talk, and I'm realizing that you consider yourself to be a shy person. Are you introverted or are you shy? Or is it both?
I am, I'm an extroverted introvert.
I
So I
identify
present.
as the same.
Okay, so you feel me. So like
Mhm.
we're fine to talk to each other here. If I walk into a room that's not mine, like if I teach a class and I've taught in rooms up to 7,000 people, that doesn't bother me at all. I can stand there in front of 7,000 people and talk and let's turn the whole place upside down and go for it. But if I walk into a room that's not there for me, I will literally turn into a hermit crab. I'm like,
Yes. And that was my question. That was my question is how do you walk into these rooms where there's thousands of people and do that? Um,
yeah,
but I think for me, like it's also kind of a lack of intimacy, right? Like, and maybe that's wrong, but when you're in a room full of, thousands of people, like, yes, it can feel intimate, but like, is it
yeah,
really intimate, right? Versus
yeah,
being in a smaller
yeah.
group. Yeah. Do you
If
have
I
any?
walk into a social,
Go ahead.
totally. So if I walk into a social setting and there's going to be a lot of people there, like if I were going to a party, I'm probably going to be one of the first people there because I don't want to walk in and everybody look at me. I would rather
Mhm.
walk in and one by one say hello,
Mhm.
and I probably am just going to tap out. Like I'm just going to
Mhm.
sneak out.
What do they call
Is
that? Like
that
an
you too?
iron exit or something? I forget what they call
Yes.
it. Yes.
Yeah. Like I'm the ghost exit. I'm out. I'm like, see you
Yeah.
later.
Bye. That's funny. um, okay. I think we've reached the part of the show. Yeah, because we've been going for a while here. So I have a segment that I call Storytime with Auntie Hair Coach. So I have three prompts here, and I just want you to tell us like a short little story or long. We'll see.
I'm
So
here for it.
the first story is tell us the story of how you met your hubby.
Oh my God, so crazy. So I was way too young. Let's start there. Woo, way too young. Lord have mercy, I was a baby and had no idea.
Mhm.
I think a lot of the time back into my growing up, like you're supposed to get married young and have lots of babies. So I knew that wasn't going to happen, but um, which we did, by the way. So anyway, we met. I went to a hair show in Birmingham, Alabama, of all places in the world, Alabama. And I went with one of my girlfriends, and so we're walking through, and I told her, I don't really want to go to the party. There's people there partying and they're drinking, and I was still, though I had left the church mindset, I still, because I had been brainwashed a good bit, I still was wearing my long sleeve shirts. I felt naked if I was showing my short sleeve. Like
Yeah.
I had worn short sleeve shirts at that point, but I was way more comfortable being covered.
Yeah.
And alcohol, none of that was a thing.
Yeah.
So I go into this party with her, and I'm literally like, oh, I don't want to be here. And it's huge. It's probably 2,000 people there. It's dark. It's like a regular party, and they've got like a dance floor. And I'm trying to stay so far away from all this nonsense. And I'm walking, and I see, this makes no sense. As I tell you this, I'll tell you it makes no sense. I see this person on the complete opposite side of the building. Now, there's a lot of people there. And I told Lisa, I said, that's him. And she goes, who? And I was like, that's him. Way over there. That's my guy. And she said, I thought you said you were just going to die single. I was like, I know. That's what I was taught. I was supposed to live this lonely life. I could be who I am. I just can't date anybody or love or never be loved. That's fun. And so we started walking closer to him, and she goes, I know him. I was like, girl, you do not know him. Calm down. We are from Georgia. And she goes, yeah, I know him. His name's Jody. And she goes, I've got bad news for you. I'm like, what? She goes, he's straight. I'm like, I've got bad news for you. He's not.
Oh.
And so we walked over to where he was. And I, for the first time, and I think the only time in my life, physically could not speak. Absolutely couldn't speak. I literally was just like, I can't talk. And so Lisa did all the talking, and I remember I just got cracked up. Like I was so nervous, I started laughing, and which made him really nervous. Well, anyway, long and short, I slipped on an old piece of paper. I slipped my phone number, and then we talked like 4 days later, and then come to find out, we literally worked 3 miles away from each other, which was insane.
Wow.
We went on our first date, and come to find out, we were there for like 5 hours on our first date. They closed the restaurant. We had to leave. He had suffered some pretty severe religious trauma also. And so we just had so many things. I said, look, if we ever were to really date, would you feel crazy? Would you be like embarrassed that I wear long sleeves and long pants all the time, even when I swim? And he was like, well, you would look ridiculous, but I don't care. And I was like, oh my God, this is the guy.
Yeah.
And so he accepted every bit of who I was at that time, and we've grown together, and we're 23 years strong. So and with an 8-year-old son, so we have a kid, and which is all of it's just amazing. So I do have kind of an amazing love story, and I wish everybody could have that. I wish everybody could find love the way that we have.
Yes. That you got me misty over here. I love it. I'm such a sucker for love.
It's
Such a sweet
good. There's nothing better
story.
than love.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know what? He taught me for the first time ever. He taught me what it was like to receive unconditional love. I had never experienced that before because I thought that I had it, and then I realized there were terms and conditions on everything. Well, if you're like this, if you date this, I can love you, but if you don't, so
Yeah.
he's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. Awesome. All right. Second story. What really grinds your gears?
Oh, oh, hate.
Yeah.
I can't stand it. So the opposite of everything that I stand for. I can't. I feel like I spend probably 80% of my time trying to explain to people why they shouldn't be racist or homophobes or misogynist. Like that people are just people, and I feel like it's one of those things. I'm like, why do I have to teach human beings how to let people be human? Like what? Why do we
Yeah.
have to explain that to people? So it really makes me insane because every single life does matter. Like if you're here and you're doing your thing, you have value and importance, and you deserve food, water, love, and acceptance. Unless
Yeah.
you're a jerk.
Yeah. You can
And
go
then
along.
you can have your food and water, but I will not accept being mean. That's
Yes.
not. There's no need. No need.
Absolutely. All right. Final story time question. What's your favorite Broadway show and why?
Oh gosh, Wicked. It's so good.
Yeah.
Um, I've been to see it so many times.
Uh-huh.
I love The Wizard of Oz.
Hmm.
The irony there, right? I love The Wizard of Oz, and I love the theater. It's the Gershwin Theater, and it's just amazing. That one's good. Hamilton was also really good, but
Okay.
I am a diehard Wicked fan, and we probably have been 6 times.
Okay. Have you seen The Lion
Yeah.
King on Broadway?
Oh, love Lion King. It's so good.
So good.
Oh, so good.
Those
Oh my gosh.
costumes
And
are so incredible.
well, and the story of Lion King is also very powerful.
Hmm.
If you're coming from the background that I came from, if it's a Christian standpoint, if you look at how that movie was done, you have Simba and Mufasa. Like Simba's held up and presented to the world. It's like his son,
Yes. Yes.
right? And then you
Yes.
go through there,
I
right?
didn't even see
And
that.
so then he dies,
Yeah.
and
Ah,
right? And so
what?
Rafiki goes, yes. Oh, but wait for it. So Rafiki, the monkey, is Simba's all grown now, and Simba's like, I just want to hear my father's voice. I just wish I could see my father again. And so Rafiki takes him down to the water, and Rafiki takes his finger, or Rafiki tells Simba to look into the water. So Simba looks down and he goes, I just see myself. I can only see my reflection. And Rafiki touches the water, which is faith, right? He touches the water, and so Simba looks back down and he sees and he hears his father. And so the spirit, right?
Yes.
For me, a Christ spirit embodies every religion and every culture, because that's just a spirit of kindness and love. Dalai Lama, all of these great, great people, Mother Teresa. So the kindness spirit can live within all of us if we just reach out and touch it. Whatever it is that we need to touch to make ourselves believe bigger, it's always there. So that is a very powerful story. I love Lion King also.
You just changed that movie for me forever. I never saw it in that light. Now I'm gonna have to go look.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very, very powerful.
Yes. Love it. Appreciate you so much for taking time out of your morning for me.
Thank
And for
you.
my
What an
guests.
honor to be with you. Your
Yeah,
energy is so good.
thank you. I appreciate you, Danielle. Is
Thank
there
you. And
anything
for
else
anybody,
that you would, well, I guess first of all, let the audience know how they can follow your movement.
I'm Danielle Mason Jones, so you can find me anywhere with that. I live on Instagram.
Yeah.
I have a YouTube channel, and I need to post on there more, but there are some good things on there still from when I did have a lot of free time. I have a professional Facebook page, the Danielle Mason Jones Professional, for those of you that are still Facebooking. Don't give it up, because Facebook actually still makes you a lot of money in this business. And but anyway, yeah, and what I want to say to everybody listening is just remember why you're here, right? You have a purpose, and go give it away. Like, and the more you love people, the better your life will be. I will close with this, Tasha. When you think about people that are truly happy, I want you to think about your person. Who do you know that's like you don't have to say it out loud, but do you know somebody that's like always eternally happy and grateful?
Of course. Yes.
Okay, this person, I guarantee you, serves other people.
Mm-hmm.
They give
Yep.
to other people.
Yep.
And then when you think about people that are eternally sad and like just hateful, those people are the very people that only serve themselves. Every day is about them. So the true secret behind this wonderful life that all of us have for right now is just love as many people as you can where you are. And how many hands do you have?
2.
Me too. So if each one can reach one, we can make a massive, massive difference. So if there's 1,000 people, 2,000 people listen to this podcast, that's 2,000 to 4,000 people that we can affect. So go out and make somebody's day, because it's really about all of us lifting each other anyway. And I'm so grateful for you choosing me for this morning.
Thank you so
Thank you. And maybe one day we'll.
Thanks so much for listening. If you're a beauty pro with a story to tell, or you have a stylist you'd like to hear from, you can DM me via IG at Auntie Hair Coach, or use the contact me form on tasha-davis.com. Or if you're feeling really spicy, send an audio message in Spotify. Whether you loved it or hated it, please leave a rating, like, and or follow, because it does something fancy with the algorithm. I'm Auntie Hair Coach. Ta-ta for now.
I'm so glad you could make it.